Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let's say thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala who still give us long life and health so I can make this video and all of you can watch it. Also, may salawat and salam always be delivered to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has brought us from the dark era to the bright era like now. My name is Fransiska and I'm standing here to deliver my speech with them Recover Together, Recover Stronger, and Sub-tema Why G20 Matters, titled G20 is Matters for Indonesia for Economic Recovery and Improvements. Ladies and gentlemen, pandemic is far from over. The global economic is struggling and no single country could recover alone. All countries are interconnected and no one is isolated by President Joko Widodo. The honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen, G20 is a multilateral forum bringing together 19 world's major economic and the European Union. The G20 aims to accommodate industrialized and developing countries to discuss the various key issues of the world economies. The background of the G20 is due to the 1998 financial crisis, which is G7 failed to overcome. Ladies and gentlemen, G20 bring a lot of benefits to its member countries, especially for Indonesia, which is the host of this year's G20. The election of Indonesia in the midst of pandemic proves a good perception of Indonesian economic adaptability to the crisis. The G20 provides added values for Indonesia's recovery, both in terms of economic and trust by the domestic and international community. G20 meetings in Indonesia are a means to introduce our tourism and our superior products to the international world, which makes Indonesia become one of the focuses of world attention, especially for the economic and financial actors. There is also a short-term and long-term benefit for Indonesia. The short-term can be felt immediately when there is activities or meetings that carried out in Indonesia, because it's able to attract the foreign attention and interest to come to Indonesia. Meanwhile, the long-term can be considered by the number of countries that to invest in Indonesia. The honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen, I want all of us, the citizens, to support and help the success of G20, because if the G20 is success, then Indonesia will be trusted by the other country, and in the future, Indonesia can become host for other forums or organizations, which certainly bring more benefits. And then we can support the G20 through the Y20. Y20 or Youth 20 is an engagement group, which are groups other than heads of state or governments that can participate in G20. Youth 20 is a place for youth to provide policy recommendation through the Y20 communique to the G20 leaders. Especially for the youth, let's support this G20 for a better condition for our country. By giving our voice or best recommendation of policy or something else that can help the success of the G20, because I know all of us want Indonesia to develop more and more, right? Honorable judges, G20 is matters or important for Indonesia for economic recovery and improvements in the midst of this never-ending pandemic, because it can make Indonesia become one of the focus of world attention, especially for the economic and financial actors, and can also be a means to Indonesia to introduce our tourism that can attract the interest or attention of foreign people to come to Indonesia. That's why we should support and help the success of the G20 in our country. The rise of a region will trigger rise of other region by President Joko Widodo. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all from me. I hope you learned something from it and enjoy it. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.